Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to again in this series. I'm going to work with the Angels of Hope to see what they come up with, to see what they want me to do next. One of the things that was shown to me recently, which is very interesting, is the ability to see the chords of how things are connected. So, in other words, if I look at a specific soul, I can see all the chords of the universe in a way, not like the whole universe, but when you're looking at a person, you can see all the chords that go out and connect onto the universe, is a better way to describe it. It's incredible to look at, and you can realign those chords to optimize yourself, or you can see how energy is trying to interfere with your basically energetic form. It's really beautiful to look at, but also very complex when you actually look at the world that way. And again, this is through a meditative state, so you're looking at you're actually looking at the reflection of a person's soul and not seeing it physically with your eyes. It's a totally different way of doing it. But one of the things that's shown to me time and time and time again, you have to be willing to change yourself. You can't force change on other people. And I know I say this a lot, but it's very important for people to understand that, because if you look at society and say, well, you need to change this in people, you can't force them to change, ever. It's kind of one of those things that they have to go within themselves to heal themselves, and we can help you with that, or a friend can help you with that, a mother, or you go on and on and on and on. Now, the key is to wanting, first of all, to change, and agreeing to change, and doing the work to change. Like, we can help you let stuff go, but you could also fill it back up again. A perfect example is that if I look at the world and I realign the global energy to be a specific way, I'm only able to do that for a split second. And after that, the energy is going to reform the way based on every individual's choice and what they're doing and how they're sending energy out to the universe. You can't change that. And that's a very important thing to understand. So if you have a group of people in a stadium all aligned to come up with the same thing, it's going to have more an effect than if you have a million people that don't agree with you, or you're in a room one-on-one with a person. Healing is based on belief, the belief that you can, the belief in who you are, the intention of what you want, of what it is you're trying to heal, but also the willingness to let it go. So if you book a session with me, for instance, I always basically tell you what comes up. I'm not changing anything. It is what it is. This is what comes up, and this is what is being said, and this is what is being told. No buttering it up. It's simply just what it is. And that's exactly what you need to hear in order to basically accomplish the goal that you brought forward. So I'm connecting on to the Angels of Hope, which came to me a few weeks ago. And it's kind of like moving into a different, you just do that. Like, if you're aware of your guides, and your guides will guide you to specific guides at specific times that you are to work with. And I'm to work with these two angels at this time. It doesn't mean they're going to be there forever. It could only be they're going to be there for a few months. But by the sounds of it, these angels are going to be here for quite some time, because I went from working with Metatron to working with these angels. It's almost like Metatron guided me to these angels. Or no, that's not what they're saying. It's more like a handoff, that I worked with Metatron pretty well my whole life, and then I'm now switching to these angels. And it is like a handoff. It means I'm working with different energies, and that is something that I'm open to and I'm in agreement with. And everybody should be able to change what they believe and change who and what they're working with all throughout their life if it's necessary. That's how you grow. That's how you expand. That's how you become who you are. And that's very important to acknowledge and to allow the flow. It's like I was doing a journey this morning, and one of the things that came up was, you could say that your whole life is a river. And there's times the rivers are going to be really treacherous, and other times the river is going to be a basically a crystal clear lake with no ripples at all. So do you go into water? They're saying no. The best way to go through and let energy flow is to observe it from the shore. And you can, so you're not, if you, as soon as you go into the water, you interfere with the flow. So they say you observe it from the actual bank. So it doesn't mean you're going to not have any hardships or anything wrong in your life. It just means you're always going to be above it. You're always going to be beside it. It's always going to be there. But as soon as you jump into it, you could be pulled under and held under for a long time in very rough waters. And that's why you're supposed to observe it from a distance. You're supposed to be part of it, but not in it, if that makes any sense. So that was one of the, I thought was very important to hear and acknowledge, that you're an observer of what goes on in your life, and you're a part of it, but you don't want to get lost in it. You don't want it to take over. You want to always be able to make decisions, even under the most difficult times. How are you supposed to make a decision if you're in the rapids and being bashed off the rocks? But if you're on the shore and you're seeing the rapids, you're able to make educated and well-based decisions. I guess that's a better way of putting it. I'm just going to close my eyes, and I want the Angels of Hope to ask, I'm going to ask them again what it is they want me to do for this video to share with the world. I'm actually playing the piano, and I'm playing it really well. And it's like, just like to the point where everybody's standing up, cheering, even when I'm still playing. It's like really, really, really going crazy on this piano. And then I stand up at the end and everybody cheers and bows, and then it's over. And everybody leaves. The concert's over. So then what do? You sit back down and start playing the piano again, and everybody goes back to their seats, or do you just allow people to leave and to go on with their life? You gave them a beautiful experience, and now they're meant to go on and live their own lives. So you can choose many things. So what do you choose? Some people would choose to do an encore. Some people would choose to bow and leave the stage, or say a few things before people leave, say thank you. And this one person I see in this situation goes to the crowd and cries and cries and cries and cries. And there is a woman that stands up that runs over. The rest of the crowd kind of leaves awkwardly, except for this one person. This one person tries to go up on stage, but she's stopped. And it's because you're not allowed to go up and interfere with the person on stage. You're stopped. You're not allowed to go. But then the person's crying and crying and crying, and nobody knows what to do. So they allow this woman to run up, and they hold this person, and they're actually singing a song. And the person that was playing the piano stops, and he starts to listen to the song. And this person is his sister, was in the crowd, and knows how to deal with this man who is not quite right. He's a little different. And he's crying because the song overwhelmed them. But that's again why he's so good with the piano, because he's able to dive into emotions and allow those emotions to flow into the keys, into the piano, into the sounds, into the frequency, and it spreads out throughout the whole audience, and they're captivated by it. But then the man loses control sometimes. And this woman is able to, his sister is able to rebalance him so he can come back. So he stands up with her and he gives her a hug, and they walk off the stage together. Mm. It's like sometimes in life you need somebody just to help you in the difficult times, but also allow them to help you. Otherwise, you get lost into the deepest, darkest parts of yourself. And if there's nobody there to help you, then what do? You seek help. And there's so many people out there that lie, manipulate, that cheat, that don't tell the truth. So it actually creates this situation where you got somebody that's willing to help. For instance, in this situation, what happens if nobody actually allowed her to go on stage and she was removed and was never allowed to approach the person? The man could still be crying now. He could be crying for hours. Instead, he was able to rebalance because of this person. So sometimes it's important to help others, but it's also important to do it honestly and truthfully. So in spirituality, for instance, there's a lot of people out there that don't tell the truth. There's a lot of people that will manipulate people to get what they want. So what they're saying is that it's important to say what it is that is being said. It doesn't mean you have to agree with it, but it's important to relay the information how it's presented to you. And that is very, very important, because that is what is needed. And that is what is allowed. Because if you say, for instance, if the spirit realm tells you this and you say that, just because it might make the person feel better, it actually twists the energy that was meant to be brought forward, which then could actually do more harm to the person than good. And then a person loses faith and loses in the belief in the truth. The truth is something that is very difficult to hear. And the spirit realm is only allowed to do so much. It's only allowed to say so many things because it can't really interfere too much in what it is that we're meant to learn or meant to experience. So it's just meant to be a guide. But sometimes that guides are really necessary in order to wake you up, to take you out of that state that you're in that you cannot get out of. There's a lot of people that are spiraled out of control with anxiety, with fear, with depression. How do you find your way back? You need somebody to come and help you. You need people to come and bring you out of that state. In some cases, it could even be medication. Sometimes you have to take the steps that are presented to you, because what's being presented to you is what, as long as this broadcasts the truth, but then it's like, how do you know the person's telling you the truth? Well, it's hard because that's where your heart comes in. There was a question that somebody asked in my last video about intelligence is genetic and wisdom is what? What's the difference? How do you access it? Wisdom is knowing, already knowing what to do. The wisdom is also allowing your intuition, allowing your soul to actually make the decisions, to follow your heart. So, for instance, when you're doing a journey, it's your higher self that guides you. It's your guides that guide you. And you already know what to do. You just have to allow them to do it, allow yourself to do it. Because you yourself have no idea in the physical world how to navigate the complexities of the spirit realm. But there's a part of yourself that knows exactly what to do. So it's allowing that part of yourself to do it is extremely important. And get out of your own way. Getting out of your way is one of the key things in order to be able to do journeys successfully and to hear the messages as they're supposed to be heard, not what you want them to be. Because then you're just spewing off stories instead of actual visions, actual messages from the spirit realm. The energies that you feel are unmistakable. You know if something's good or bad just simply by allowing it to be part of who you are. It doesn't mean you have to allow them in. It just means you have to be able to read the vibrations that they're giving off. And even ones that try to hide, you know there's something off. And that, again, is wisdom. And intelligence as well, I guess. I see a couple walking hand in hand down a road, and they see a beautiful sun setting, and it sets over the horizon, and it quickly shifts, and soon after it gets dark, there's a full moon coming up on the other side. And they turn around and they sit by a bench on the side of the road that's on top of a hill just beside the road. They kind of jump the fence and they walk up, and there's a bench that is facing the full moon or the sunrise, like, depending which one you want to watch. And this couple is very at peace. Are you able to listen to yourself in silence? When you're in a city where lots of people, there's lots of noise all the time. You read the energies of everything around you. So the more people, the louder it is. Are you able to stop that sound from entering your own atmosphere? So when you're in, say, in a quiet space, you're able to disconnect, and you're able to only listen to the silence now. And the sound of silence is a beautiful thing. And it forces you to look at yourself. It forces you to listen. It forces you to awaken to the voices of the spirit realm, the voices that are reaching out, or simply listening to the sound of your partner, of your child. And when you're alone in silence, you hear each other. You can actually read the energies of the person that you're with. You might not be completely aware of it, but your soul can hear it. Your subconscious hears it. And the more you're in love, the more louder that becomes, and the more at peace you are with that person. But there's a lot of people that couldn't go in a silent room and be able to sit there for hours because they can't stand the sound, the noise that is going inside themselves, because they don't know how to quiet it down. The best way to quiet it down is go into a space that's completely silent. And I'm telling you, there's very few places in the world that are like that. You'll be amazed the sound that things make, even when you think it's silent. When you go to a place that's completely silent, you'll be very aware of it. It's very, very, very medicated, like, what's the word I'm trying to say? It's very good for your soul. It helps you heal. Because when you're able to silence your own screaming inside your mind, and I'm telling you, there's a lot of traumatic things that we go through in our lifetime, and they don't stop unless you are aware that they're screaming. And the best way to listen is to be able to be in complete silence and quiet it down. That's why people can't deal with silence, because they're not dealing with their problems inside themselves. When you're able to stop and breathe and silence yourself, that's when you truly start to hear things and truly start to see things. And that's how you truly awaken. It's not easy to be awakened in a world that doesn't see. It can be quite difficult. But then you learn, you go and you spend all this time studying, reading, journeying, trying to learn. And ultimately, you keep coming back to the idea that you have a physical reality, that you're here to live that reality. But how do you live in that reality? It's like a lot of people struggle with living a physical reality because it's so difficult to live it in a world that doesn't, when you see things for what they could be, and then you see things for what they are, is hard to accept. The more silent you are, the more you see how things could really be. And that is hard. But also that's when acceptance comes in. And a lot of times you go through your whole life trying to find out who you truly are, and you find out who you truly are, then you realize that you simply just need to live every day the best way you can, in the now, in the moment, and stop living in the future or the past, and simply embracing what is happening at this time. Doesn't mean you have to like every moment of it, but the acceptance of what it is that you're meant to do is very important, and to be excited about it. But you know how hard it is to stay excited in a world that constantly beats you down. Well, the more we become excited and work on ourselves, the more tolerable this place will become. The more people will become awakened and try to be a better person, to try to help one another, to try to work with other people. To truly be free is to work together because we're all connected to each other. So we all hear each other. You hear each people scream, you hear each people laugh, you hear people cry. And you should want to help them. And it's interesting, when I do healing, it's not that popular, surprisingly. To help other souls is not that popular. I find it flabbergasting. But that's what I'm called to do, so I will continue to do it. It doesn't matter if the world accepts it or not. That's what I was meant to do, and that's why I'm here to do it. I do not believe in the idea that a soul can never be saved, that it has to burn forever. I don't believe that was ever spoken by God, by anyone except a human being. I do not believe it. I do not feel it. It's not part of who I am. I believe everything is meant to be, but everything is never meant to be the same or stay the same. And nothing is beyond redemption. Because every single being that is suffering means that we are suffering. And then echoes will continue all throughout eternity if we do not silence them or bring them back into the light. Even when they're trapped, they still make sound. They still reach our souls. They still reach our minds. So the more people we help, the more souls that have been through pain, and we bring them souls back and transform them to create an alternate timeline that these never happened, that echoes more loudly than the old one. Helps heal the energies. Helps heal the past. Helps free the future. I ask if there's anything they wish me to heal. And things are spinning right now. The energy's moving like a vortex. I stand before a race that is been manipulated. If you all look at the history of the human race, and you look at the Roman Empire, you could look at all throughout history of all the different empires that existed, and all the people that died in the name of that empire, died in the name of this or that. All the people that died throughout the Crusades in the name of religion. All the people that died in the First and Second World War, and every war prior to that. Those souls are fragmented all throughout time. And one of the biggest gifts that we could give those souls that gave up their lives simply because they believed in something, or were forced, or the only thing they could do, or at the time the only thing they thought they could do. These souls deserve to be free. These fragments deserve to go back home. And when you're standing like in space looking down on a world that's been through so many timelines, so many wars, so many things, and you look and you don't see any of that from looking from space. All you see is a beautiful world. And then you change the energy and you see all the death, all the destruction. And the world is black and dark and red with pain and suffering. So it depends on what eyes you use. Because some eyes will reveal the pain and some will reveal the love. Some reveal the physical aspects of what it is you're looking at. And it doesn't show you the pain. It doesn't show you the suffering. It doesn't even show you the love. All you do is see, with our physical eyes, very, very limited sight. But when you're able to change that sight, you're able to see so much more. You're able to see all the things that are connected, all the things that are in pain, all the things that are glitched out, all the things that are in suffering, all the things that are sad, all the things that are happy, all the things that are rejoicing, all throughout time. So where do you want to go? What do you want to heal? There's so many things to heal. So you could say, I could create a virus of love that goes into everything all throughout time. And that spreads all through all the history of the world from when it was first created, all the way to the end when it's destroyed. The life expectancy of the world itself. Every moment in past, present, and future. You put the virus in place and it goes out and goes into everything that ever was and lets go of all that energy. And that energy becomes a galaxy in itself, a universe in itself that is black, that is dark. When you remove that from this universe and move it to another one, and then you put the virus in that new universe, and that universe goes through a massive chain reaction and explosion, one right after another, creating more and more universes. It's interesting. When you take the dark and you transform it and it becomes something beautiful, it creates life. It creates a whole nother universe in itself, time and time and time again. But then it goes back and you see that all the people on this universe are not accepting the energy that you just sent out, not accepting the virus, so to speak, which is a virus of love. They reject it. They spit on it. They throw it away. They fill themselves back with corruption, and then you see the corruption happen. Time and time and time again, the corruption comes back. And now the universes are filled with corruption once more. Not saying that the love is not still there, but the corruption can only be changed when every single person is willing to accept the change and willing to accept the healing, willing to accept themselves as something much greater than they ever thought they were. Never be taught that you're weak in thought and mind and soul. God is in every single one of us. So God also wants us to be strong. He wants us to be full of love, to stand for yourself, to heal yourself and other people, to give off that energy and send it out to the universe. In every word that you speak, you can connect the words, could be full of love. The intention of healing is attached to every word that you go, which then goes into every single person. And they can choose whether or not they want to heal or not heal. But every time one person chooses to change, that has a major impact on everyone around them. And the more and more and more and more people choose to change, the more and more people will change. To the point where now, when you heal, it actually heals everyone in the universe. And then the darkness is quiet. And everyone is finally free. I've been working on a card set. It's not working on it. I've had a card set I did for a while. And it's a healing deck. I believe the box is 11 by 14. There's a 16 by 24 pull-out board. I think there's 137 cards attached to it. It's a complex deck. It's not the cheapest deck to create. I spent many years of Northern Lights photography in order to help create it. And so it's not simply just a tarot card deck that's a small little deck that has no use. That's not correct. Tarot cards do have a use, but they don't heal you. They bring attention to things that you maybe need to work at or to look into. But the deck that I created is meant to heal people. It means you got to do some work. is not living, though, is doing the work. Thank you very much, everyone. And if you wish to do a session with me, you can visit my website at almonrossawakening.com. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.